This is WCM's Park Update, a weekly show covering the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. During each episode, you'll hear from special guests and campground experts on topics that will help your park flourish. WCM's Park Update is a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Hi, this is Ben Quiggle, editor of Woodall's Campground Magazine, and this is another edition of WCM's Park Update sponsored by Spot tonight. And my colleague Mike Gast is here, CEO and founder of the Emola Group.
Not even close.
Emola Group. There we go.
There you go.
We got it. See, people are going to remember that, though. They're going to be like, "What, that name that Ben screws up every time?" So it's good advertising. Trust me.
Sure.
And our guest today is Nick Purslow, who is the founder of Glamptech North America and the co-founder of a new venture, I guess, Posh Outdoors. Did I get that right, Nick?
Yeah, well done. Even I'm struggling to do it, but yeah, great job, Ben. It's a pleasure to be back on.
Yeah.
So Nick, you didn't have enough to do?
God, yeah, I know people have been saying that. Well, to be fair, I would say this is the big thing that we've been building for a long time. So, this will be, everything's going to come together into Posh Outdoors once we get going. So this is a really exciting, albeit stressful time right now.
Yeah. So let's pull up you have it like an investment page, I guess, so people can kind of get a picture of what we're talking. 1 second. I got to pull up the right one. There we go. Can you guys see that? So it's Posh Outdoors. So just explain a little bit what this is, I guess, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. So as I say, this has been in the works for some time now. I've come together with a few different people. We've got a couple of serial entrepreneurs. We've got Ed Haynes, who from EJH Distribution, who sells glamping structures. And we've also got a couple of other kind of glamping industry professionals on the board. We've all come together and we formed a new startup called Posh Outdoors. And that is, in a nutshell, we'll be supplying luxury year-round glamping structures from EJH Distribution at no upfront cost to landowners in return for a split of the revenue. So primarily going to be targeting existing tourism businesses like wineries, wedding venues, ranches. If they have an interest in adding outdoor accommodation, particularly luxury outdoor unique accommodation, we'll be sending them the structures for no upfront cost and splitting the revenue. And it's not exclusively for existing tourism businesses, but that's kind of our main target. And we think it's going to massively cut the cost of getting into glamping. We're also going to help them with some of the back end stuff as well.
So is this a phase one to partner up with other people, Nick, or is this going to be something that branches out and has freestanding glamping facilities of your own?
Wouldn't rule anything out, but certainly, in the short to medium term, we're very much focused on the revenue share model, and we're particularly excited about the revenue share model because, through my business, Glamptech, through Ed's business, EJH Distribution, we have a lot of landowners in our kind of contact book, in our lead generation platforms, and we have a really strong pipeline of potential landowner partners, and it means that the land comes to us. We don't have to go out and find the land. We don't have to go out and buy the land, do the due diligence, go through the acquisition process, and it's going to allow us to get glamping units up and running and generating revenue a hell of a lot faster than if we were doing one site, ground up development at a time, and that's why we're so excited, because it's such a scalable model, and that's part of what really excites us. But if later down the line, if once we get our kind of feet under the table, we wouldn't rule out ground up development as well.
So what's the viewpoint from the landowner's perspective? What's it going to cost minimum to get into something like this?
Well, the expectation, and every deal that we'll do with the landowner is different. For example, we've got a deal signed with our first project that we've got lined up in the Rocky Mountains region of Canada, very near Banff. It's a stunning location. The plan is there to send them in phase 1, 10 kind of tiny home style units. In phase 2, 10 tubo units, which are these really unique cylindrical tube-shaped year-round structures. And that's actually the structure that you see on the rendering that Ben was showing there. And in that deal, we're splitting the revenue 30%, 70% in their favor, just because we're just supplying the structures. They've got their brand ready. They've already spent, a lot of time and a fair amount of money on getting a lease on the land, going through the permitting process. So the expectation generally is that the landowner or leaseholder will obviously have the land ready to use. They'll fund the permits generally, and they'll fund the infrastructure like pulling power onto site and everything like that. And we would supply the glamping units and also the kind of additional marketing and back end support. So that there are, but again, we're targeting 50% revenue splits for the typical partner. That could go up to 70% depending on what we're expected to fund. So it varies deal by deal, but generally, it's the landowner's responsibility to provide the land, cover infrastructure costs, whereas we'll cover the cost of the structures, and that includes decks and interiors as well. It's not just the kind of bare bone structures as well.
So, what you mentioned the structures. Mm-hmm. So do you guys have partnerships to kind of bring in the structures, I guess? What's that look like?
Yeah, but this is what really excites us, because we're not just we have a structure supplier embedded with the organization. He's a shareholder, or the company is a shareholder, and is an Ed from EJH Distribution is going to be the chief supply chain officer. So our structures are coming from EJH Distribution, and they're a distributor for 4 or 5 different European manufacturers. So all of the structures that we have on the roster are year round. All of them are luxury, but we can supply from different manufacturers, which means the needs for a site in the Rocky Mountains are going to be completely different to the needs in California compared to also like Florida and places like that. So we need to have that flexibility, which is why it's crucial that EJH is embedded within Posh. And because they have so many different options, we're able to meet the different needs of the different locations. So that's a real kind of USP of Posh, is that we have that structure supply locked in.
Yeah. What I guess what's the demand? I've spoken with other companies that have done something similar to this, I guess. What's the demand for this? I guess, do owners like this revenue share model? Is this something that they're kind of happy they don't have to invest all themselves? They can have a partner, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence suggests that they are, because as I say, we've got a signed deal with one location in the Rocky Mountains, which, provided we raise the capital in time, will be up and running this summer. If worst case later this year, again, if we raise the capital in time, and that we cut a deal with them, that's all signed. We've also had some pretty good conversations with other potential partners in the pipeline that aren't quite at the signed off deal stage, but we don't need them to be just yet, because the focus will be on the first project. But yeah, the general feedback has been very positive. They're happy that we're significantly reducing their startup costs. Also, we're providing that expertise and the back end support that comes from the team that we've got. So yeah, there absolutely seems to be an appetite, and with the leads that we're generating through Glam Protect and EJH, we're going to have a pretty good selection of partners, so that we can only partner with the best and on the best properties. And so yeah, we're really excited about that.
So I assume these are going to be marketed under Posh Outdoors. And how do you maintain your quality? How do you get consistent as far as the experience goes?
Yeah, that is a challenge. That's something that we've identified as a challenge pretty early on. There's still some things to be worked out in terms of how strong Posh Outdoors' branding is. There will absolutely be some kind of collective branding for or marketing for all the Posh locations under our banner. We'll probably have our own listing site and things like that. But we're also very conscious of the fact that we're going to have partners all across the US and Canada in different regions who are looking for different fields, who have different existing businesses. So we don't want to kind of impose a really strict brand guideline or way of doing things.
Yeah.
The way we're going to protect kind of the quality and reputation of the brand is by only partnering with the best people in the best locations. And we're able to do that because we do have such a good selection of partners. So as I say, we've got a first deal lined up in the Rocky Mountains. The leaseholder and the person on the ground for that project, our partner, they've already exited a glamping business in New Brunswick on the East Coast. That was a great little operation, and they're kind of taking the next step. So they've already had experience glamping. We know that they're going to be kind of looking after the business properly and making sure we hit the targets. The next project we've got lined up is looking like it's going to be down in Florida. and that's the person on the ground there. The partner on the ground is a hotel hospitality consultant. So because we've got these great leads, we're able to be pretty selective and make sure that the partners are going to maintain those standards. And as we go on, as we do more and more, we will, develop to kind of a tighter set of kind of brand guidelines, I suppose. But we're pretty confident that with these first couple we've got lined up, we can kind of establish the standards, and then we'll work on that moving forward.
So the parks you guys are targeting, are these locations where it's mainly just going to be glamping, or is there an opportunity for like an RV park or campground to get involved in this, or is what's that look like, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the right fit.
Yeah.
The location has to be. The tagline we're going with is iconic. It has to be a super duper location, and you can see that with the first project we have lined up. It's truly stunning. But if it provided that kind of criterion is met, along with the quality of the partner, I see no reason why not. We'd have to make sure that we're able to charge sufficient ADR, or the partner is able to charge sufficient ADR to justify what we're doing. And sometimes that may be negatively affected if there are cheaper campground or RV spots available. But certainly if it's the kind of level we're going for, if there's that kind of seclusion and privacy, then there's no reason why not. As I say, we're targeting existing tourism businesses, so the footfall's there. The zoning's probably going to be there as well. We wouldn't rule anything out at all.
So what's the funding process look like in this economy right now?
Yeah, I mean that's what we're going through right now, and that would be I suppose the big ask for anyone listening is, if you are interested in getting involved in this, we are looking for investment. We started a crowdfunding raise about two weeks ago at the time of recording, kind of mid to late April, and yeah, I mean it's people are more selective over their investments now than they were a few years ago. That's some common feedback we've had. But the responses we've had are really encouraging. We've as I say, we've been going at this for a couple of weeks now. We have, as of 1st of May, I think $100,000 in the pot in the crowdfunding pot. We're pretty confident of getting that up to kind of closer towards $500,000 in the next couple of weeks. And ultimately we're aiming for $1.2 million. That's our target, and we think it's achievable. And if anyone has any questions, then please do get in touch. But yeah, I mean it's not the easiest kind of environment to raise money in, but I think it's more just a case of people are a little more selective, a little more conservative. But I think what we're offering and the conversation we've had so far suggests that even with that being the case, we're still pretty optimistic of getting over the line.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a break real quick, recognize our sponsor Spot Tonight, and we will be back with Nick.
Supercharge your campground bookings with Spot Tonight, the #1 commission-free OTA for RV parks and campgrounds. Through integrations with top property management systems, Spot Tonight displays real-time outdoor accommodation inventory with a marketplace where campers can search for and instantly book campsites. Best of all, it's 100% free for operators. Visit partners.spottonight.com to get listed and unlock access to over 60 million campers.
Hi, welcome back to WCM's Park Update, sponsored by Spot Tonight, and we are chatting with Nick Purslow, co-founder Glamping North America, which you're most famous for, and then you're also going to be famous for this new venture, Posh Outdoors. You were talking a little bit about the investment round right before the break. I guess the glamping industry is so big right now. Do you think, this growth is going to continue? I guess you're kind of banking on the growth continuing, I guess, with this new opportunity.
Yeah, we absolutely think it's going to continue to grow. There will be a natural limit to that. I've worked pretty heavily, certainly a couple of years ago in the UK glamping industry. I've seen that grow and mature, and that did mature a little bit earlier than the US and Canadian industries. And I think the lessons I've learned from that is that there will be a bit of a natural limit to the standard kind of throwing a few units in the field kind of model, because people are going to struggle to differentiate themselves. But what we're going for, the segment we're going for, is the luxury, unique segment of the market, and that's the kind of $400, $500, $600, $700 ADRs. We've got a board member, Ben Wolf, on the team at Posh Outdoors, who he had an 11 unit luxury site in Texas that was, charges anywhere between $500 and $2,000 a night. He was operating for 14 months and he had 90% of his stake acquired at a valuation of $7 million. That's the kind of level that we're going for, and I think that kind of boutique luxury employee-like model that's highly profitable and is highly appealing to guests with decent levels of income. I think that's the model that we're going for, and I think there's a hell of a lot of room left to run for that, and I think there's a real supply shortage. So that's the segment that we're targeting, and I think that's going to continue to grow and grow, and we're going to continue to innovate it, and I think it's going to have much more legs and potential than, say, throwing 5 bell tents in a field kind of thing, because I think that has a much that's going to reach saturation a lot quicker.
So I know that it's early in the game here for you, but are you seeing that you're going to have to at some point guarantee some territory for some of these partners so that they don't get on top of each other in certain spots?
Yeah, I'm sure that discussion will be had when as and when needed. As I say, that our first project is due to be in the Rockies. Second project is due to be in Florida. So I don't think we're going to need to worry about them competing against each other. But yes, we've spoken actually about trying to build a bit of a pipeline through the Rocky Mountains. We think that's a really untapped area. There's a lot of money in the Calgary, Edmonton area. They love going to the mountains for the weekend and during the week and year round as well. So, that I think that'll probably be the first conversation that we have. We've also actually got a few projects, in the pipeline down in Florida. So that discussion will be had. We're obviously not going to cannibalize our own partners. It's just not kind of been needed to be had just yet.
So how urban can you get with this project? Is this got applications to a city?
Never say never. Our kind of criteria is it's got to be a stunning, iconic property, and if an urban kind of location meets the criteria, then we'd absolutely consider it. There's no, we're not kind of cutting any ideas off. Certainly, as with any new business, that there is an element of figuring out things as we go, and so we'd be stupid to kind of cut off any potential options early on. So yeah, we'd consider anything really, as long as the property is good enough, the partner's good enough, and it makes financial sense for all parties. We'd consider anything.
Besides the unit, what type of amenities are you looking for at a park? I guess you're working on this one. I think in the Rocky Mountains, you said, right? I guess what other things besides the unit are you expecting people to have?
Yeah, again, it's a case by case basis. The first project in the Rockies, that's going to lean pretty heavily on the amenities available in the surrounding area. There's an incredibly busy, successful Nordic spa in that part, very close to the park. So that's going to be a pretty big draw, we think. But yeah, I mean, again, it's not something where we're like, okay, you have to have, I don't know, fire pitch, you have to have horse riding or whatever. It's just a case by case basis. I'm pretty sure, once we've got projects 1 and 2 up and running, we're probably going to really tighten our kind of landowner and land prospect criteria, so that we say, okay, we need to have, at least, maybe we'll score it internally and say, okay, the amenity score needs to be 4 out of 5 at a minimum. The scenery needs to be 4 out of 5 at a minimum, whatever. We'll probably tighten that up again, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, providing we get these initial projects off the ground.
So you mentioned the supply pipeline that you have. When somebody signs up for this, how fast do you think they would start to see units arrive?
Well, again, that's the great strength of having EJH distribution involved. One of EJH's manufacturers is a company called Dewad. We're lining them up, we hope, for our second project in Florida. They're a canvas manufacturer from the Netherlands. We can get them to site within 2 weeks. The units that we're due to be sending for phase 2 of the first project in the Rockies, that's Tubo. Again, you're looking 1 to 2 months to get those on site. So because we have such a strong supply chain through EJH, we're not making partners wait 6 months, 12 months, etc. Now, most of the time, partners will need to be patient with them as they go through the permitting process. But in cases where maybe there's no permits, no zoning, or as is the case with project number one, they've already acquired their permits before they were kind of introduced to us. We're able to get the units rolled out very quickly as and when needed.
So do the units include kitchenettes, bathrooms, showers, the whole works?
Yeah, so EJH as a typically would just provide the structures, but as part of the Posh deal, we're also linking in with deck suppliers, furniture suppliers, and yes, there'll be luxury connected with ensuite bathrooms, almost certainly kitchenettes for most partners, and they're going to have big decks, potentially with outdoor kitchens as well. Again, case by case basis, but it's all, when we say we're sending luxury glamping units, we also mean the decks, the interiors, and it's one less or several less things for landowners to worry about. They know that we can supply those things, and those are the kind of luxuries that guests are kind of looking for when they're looking to pay $400, $500, $600 ADRs.
How do you see the reservation system working for this? Is that up to the landowner, or is that something you're going to integrate into one?
No, that's something that we absolutely can integrate. For project number one, they've already had that all set up, and it's a bit of a different deal. That's why we're only on 30% revenue split for that deal. For most partners, we're looking at closer to 50% and potentially beyond. And that's because alongside the units, we'll be supplying the back-end marketing, booking generation support. As I mentioned, we've got a guy on the board, Ben Wolf, who had his business valued at $7 million with just 11 units. He's got a sister company called Stay Oazy. They do exactly what we're talking about. They do marketing, booking generation, that back-end systems. And through them, we'll be supplying those kind of services. And again, it's another thing that landowner partners don't have to worry about. We can cover it. If they want to do it themselves, they can. We just negotiate a different rate split. But that's absolutely something that we'll be seamlessly implementing.
Yeah. Is there like a price? Like, is there like a minimum price you guys are looking for, like on the rate side, or is it just based off of location and what people feel like can work?
Based on location, it'll always be a case by case basis, and we'll assess each opportunity objectively to see if the numbers make sense. But we are generally looking, as I say, for that $400, $500+ a night range. That's the boutique luxury glamping. That's where we think the real profits are to be had, and that's where the future of the industry is going for that kind of level of income and daily rate. So that's what we're looking for, really.
So I guess like I said, I mentioned, and I've talked to a couple other companies that are somewhat doing a revenue share thing, kind of stuff like this. I guess, what's the term look like for this? I guess, if you get 2 to 3 years in this project and the landowner is like, well, I don't really want to do this anymore. What's that look like, I guess?
Yeah, again, that's another common question we've had from investors, and that's something that can be answered pretty simply throughout. So for example, we're generally looking at 20-year terms on these partnerships. Throughout that, Posh Outdoors retains complete ownership and title on the units. We can, we have obviously we don't want to, but we have the power to remove them from site at any time. And at the end of the 20-year contract, they will still be in our ownership. And that's where, if they want to cut a deal for a new rev share, if they want to buy the units, whatever, that can be discussed. But we retain title and ownership of those units at all times. And we've seen no objections or issues with that in our discussions with potential landowner partners. They understand that we want that security, and we have that out if needed.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like an interesting idea. Something worth looking at. We had an interesting discussion at a symposium was at recently, and they were talking about the ultra luxury type model for glamping, what that looks like, and we were also talking about the economy. Are you at all nervous about like what happens to the ultra luxury side if the economy does move downward, I guess?
Yeah, no, it's understandable. I would say when we're talking ultra luxury, I think there is an ultra luxury, which is kind of like the $2,000 a night range, which is super duper luxury. We'd love to get there one day potentially, but for now we're targeting maybe the next tier down, which is kind of the $400, $500 a night. It's obviously something to consider. We do think that the kind of people that we're targeting and the quality of what we're offering will kind of protect ourselves a little bit from that. Again, worst comes to worst, as they say, if we don't hit targets for whatever reason, we can kind of pull the units back, and it's not something we want to do, but it's there if needed. But we're pretty confident in the model that this boutique luxury model has been going on for some time now, and obviously the economy isn't where it was a couple of years ago, but all the people that I've spoken to at that kind of level are doing as well as they were. I think that we have seen maybe a little bit of a dip from the big branded players that are maybe a tier down from that, charging 150, 200, 250. I think they're maybe feeling the pinch a little bit, but certainly the boutique luxury is as yet kind of been okay, and obviously we hope it continues to stay that way.
Do you feel like it's just the younger camper trend where they're willing to spend more on these types of vacations or experiences?
Yeah, and I would stress as well, it's not just the experience itself, it's also how you market it.
Yeah.
A big reason why Ben Wolf, our board member at Onera, has done so well, and there's other similar operators, isn't just because they're offering a great experience, which they are in their location. To be honest, the location itself for Ben Wolf, our board member, probably wouldn't meet the threshold that we're looking for our partnerships. But despite that, he's designed a beautiful site with beautiful units, and his marketing is absolutely bang on. He understands social media marketing. There's a reason why he's going to be providing those services to our partners. And I think understanding and being able to speak to those wealthier millennials, which I've been reading a lot recently about how millennials are going to start coming into the kind of boom of money from inheritance and things like that, in the next few years. Being able to
You're not getting any of mine, by the way, Ben.
That was going to be my next question. But being able to target those and provide the experience that backs it up is going to be key. And we're pretty confident of our social media marketing abilities, and we're excited to hit those people.
Yeah, and people who are interested in investing in Posh Outdoors or learning a little bit more about the business model can go to posh.dealpage.io, and you can learn a little bit more about the investment opportunity, the project, some of the estimates you guys have. You can see some really unique photos, and you even have a video, I believe, with Ben, right?
With Ed.
The video?
With Ed, yeah.
Okay.
And I would say if you go on that deal page and you scroll down and hit invest, it will take you to our crowdfunding page. If you have any questions at all, just email me at nick@posh-outdoors.com, and I'll be happy to answer them. And if there's interest, we can happily set up calls with the CEO and CFO as well.
Yeah. And this is exciting. It's always interesting what's going on in the glamping industry, and there's a lot of exciting projects going on right now. And hopefully things go well for you guys.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will be back again next week.
Thank you for listening to WCM's Park Update, a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Join us for a new show each Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for daily news and updates, and subscribe to our news feed on our website at woodallscm.com.